such a great show. I blazed through it so quickly, could not stop watching the show. So congratulations on such an incredible show. I think Callum is such an interesting character to unravel because even from episode one, he's balancing so much. There's the stress of divorce, being a father, and trying to get by, but there's this underlying facet to him of like suspicion and anger. What initially drew you to this character?
I mean, the scripts were fabulous, and I think the chance, I've been very lucky in the last few years kind of making a career out of these kind of high octane thrillers, but, the chance to do a wee bit of comedy, it's a little bit out of my comfort zone. And then you throw in all these different elements. Is it a comedy? Is it a thriller? Is it a caper? Murder mystery? Who knows? And I think that was my favourite thing about it. Like I'm in the thing and I still can't pin it down. And that wonderful cast starts getting attached, and yeah, it felt like a no-brainer for me. And I'm just so happy that it feels like it's resonating with people.
Absolutely. I do. I absolutely adore the high drinks to like high octane revenge thriller that's sort of going on here.
Yeah, yeah.
And what I do, I think what the core heart of this show is that there's an authenticity to the support group. And it just feels like a real support group. What kind of research did you look into, especially around support groups with divorce?
You know what? To be honest, not a ton because I came straight from another job. Like I was like a week late. So I didn't have a ton. I mean, a lot of these things, I think it can change job to job. And I think for some actors, like research is incredibly important and it really helps them. But for me, a lot of the time, it's just playing the truth on the page. It was so well written and the characters are all so well defined that you kind of just get in and play the scene and you'd be all right. But I think just life being life. I've had friends who have went through divorce, and had rough times. So you can there's I probably that's in terms of I tend to do rather than research at times. I try and draw on real life experiences, and tap in and be somebody like Callum. It's like I think you can just relate to being a father, and he the thing with his kind of arc is it's not quite revenge he's after, it's more a bit of justice. He just wants to be a good dad. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, and he thinks, or he was promised that they were having shared custody, and then all of a sudden he's been forced out of his daughter's life. So it's more desperation from him rather than spiteful. And yeah, I mean, I think I could relate to that immediately.
Yeah, and it's beautifully done. And I feel like it's a really the support group has all these different characters going through different stages. There's like grief and denial. And how did you guys work together on creating this kind of like unit? Because it just really flowed. The chemistry between you guys is so good.
Thank you, mate. I genuinely like the when the six of us were together. That was my favourite times. It was it felt electric when we were all in the same room. Yeah, you just I think from the start they're all cool people. They're all sound, all very nice, and all incredibly talented. So you very quickly get the vibe when everybody's given just as much off camera. Nobody's half-arsing it when it's not on them. So the tone was set pretty quickly that we were going to be a big team. And when the rest of the cast thrive, I thrive. That's the kind of the element. And if they're great at their jobs and they give great performances, then the show's going to be great. So it's kind of all for one for all.
Absolutely. And obviously there's it from episode one, you Callum and Emily are really the chemistry and the relationship starts to develop there. What was it like working most closely with Amy?
Loved it. I mean, she's such a wee firecracker of an actor. Somebody I've admired for a long time and hope to work with one day. And I think it's because she's been so good in so many things over the years. But I mean, she's the lead, and to see her kind of carry the show and do it with such grace and such kindness to everybody else around her. And I think we had very similar work ethics where we both like a laugh, but we both need a moment to switch off when you get to those darker moments. But there's something I particularly dislike is when an actor has to make sure the whole cast and crew know about their process and kind of stomp around the set and have to make it all about them. There's ways of doing it. Of just and a good cast and crew will just respect you and find a quiet moment and then let you come in and get on with it. So yeah, I think I love the way she worked and just built a trust kind of pretty quickly. And yeah, and I mean, and she's an exciting person to be around as well. She's got brilliant charisma, and I think the thing with Callum and Emily is they really wouldn't be together than is actually in any other walk of life, and it's a really sweet line. There was a scene in the church which I loved when it's the two of them talking, and they both say like, "You're not at all what I expected," and you don't get, if you don't sit and have a conversation with somebody, you just kind of take him at the first glance, because he probably thinks she's a bit posh and annoying, and she thinks he's a bit of a scrub. So I think once they actually get that shared grief, can be a powerful thing as well. They're both at a really low ebb, and then it's a kind of, that's one of the things which was kind of like really interesting to play, is like when they're kind of getting pulled in one way or the other, where I think Callum's both of them at the start are definitely hung up on their exes and intent on getting revenge, but it's at what point does the other person switch to being that most important person, and are you sacrificing that by chasing your ex when you've actually met somebody pretty special here? So should you just let go and get on with it? But the situations again just get out of control.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for talking with me today. I just wanted to say that you're in my favourite film of all time, Filth. So it's been a great honour.
Oh, thank you. Hey, that's a Scottish Christmas film, technically.
A Scottish Christmas film, exactly. Yeah, every Christmas.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for talking with me. Take care.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey, you guys!
Hey you guys!
Hey, that's what they all say.
Hey you guys!
Hey, you guys!